Every morning, my son and I would walk my husband to the station. It was our routine. Simple, familiar, safe. But that one morning, just as we turned back towards home, my 5-year-old tugged at my hand and whispered, "Mom, we can't go home today." I blinked. "What do you mean, sweetheart?" He looked straight ahead, clutching his little dinosaur book to his chest. "I heard Daddy talking last night about us. Something bad." And that's when everything changed. 10 minutes later, as we stood hidden behind an old oak tree near our street, we watched smoke curl out of our living room window. And then fire. A fire that should have killed us, if we'd been inside like we were supposed to be. This wasn't an accident. This was a plan. A plan whispered in the darkness by the man I married, and his own mother. Our life in Willow Heights had looked perfect. The manicured lawn. The white picket fence. The kind of place where tragedy only happens in other people's homes. My husband James? On paper, he was everything. Tall. Charismatic. Successful. The guy everyone envied. I gave up my career as a translator to build a life around him, believing I was making a safe and noble choice. That I was supporting something good. But I was wrong. For years, I handled the house, the birthday parties, the laundry folded just how he liked. Ethan was my whole world. Curious, bright, obsessed with dinosaurs. I poured my soul into being the perfect wife and mother, never once suspecting that the man beside me was quietly burning our world to the ground. Looking back, the signs were there. James used to come home and light up the room with that easy, confident smile. But slowly it faded. He started coming home late, much later than usual. The kisses turned into nods. Conversations dried up. His phone? Always on him. Always locked. Even during dinner. I wanted to trust him. God, I needed to. So I told myself what any loyal wife tells herself. It's just work stress. He'll come back around. But then came the smell. His suit, once crisp and clean, started to carry this strange, cheap scent. Not perfume, something else. Like stale smoke and low-grade air freshener. Something I couldn't place. The lies got harder to ignore. The home phone started ringing with strange, aggressive men on the other end. "Tell James his time's up." One grunted before hanging up. When I asked him, he rolled his eyes. "Scammers, babe. Ignore it." And then the preschool group chat, yes, the one meant for cupcake schedules and class photos, was hijacked by a message that made my heart stop. Ethan's father is a fraud. He owes over $200,000. Be careful. It was deleted in under a minute. But the damage was done. I confronted James that night. I showed him the screenshot. His face turned red. Not from guilt, from fury. He insisted it was office jealousy. Someone trying to ruin his reputation. And he played the victim so well that I almost bought it. Almost. But then came Lisa's call. Lisa, the wife of James's colleague. She called me quietly one evening and said, "Sarah, Mark's worried. James borrowed money. Said something about betting. He's been acting strange at work. You okay?" That's when everything began to crack wide open. Bets. Money. Stress. Secrets. The strange calls. It was all lining up horribly. James had built a world around us based on lies. And now, that world was collapsing. I confronted him again. More desperate than angry. "James, please. If something's wrong, just tell me. We can fix it. We're a team." He barely looked up from his phone. "Sarah, your job is this house and Ethan. Let me handle the rest." I remember lying awake that night, his back to me, and feeling a kind of loneliness I'd never felt before. A cold, creeping sense that the man beside me wasn't just hiding something. He was hiding everything. Then came that one Tuesday. Ethan shuffled into the kitchen in his Dino slippers and asked, "Are we taking Dad to the station today?" "Of course, sweetie," I smiled. That drive was quiet. Too quiet. James was fidgety. On edge. Watching his phone like it held the fate of the world. When we dropped him off, he didn't kiss me goodbye. Just a quick wave and he disappeared into the crowd. As I turned the car around, Ethan's voice cut through the silence. "Mom. We can't go home today." I stopped the car. "Why not, sweetheart?" He looked down. "Last night I heard Daddy talking on the phone." he said. Once I drop them off, do it. Then call me to confirm they're at the store. Say it was a wiring thing. My heart started pounding so loud I could barely breathe. Our house didn't have faulty wiring. It was newly built. Every wire, every plug, we'd inspected it all. Who was he talking to? I asked. Grandma, he whispered. I didn't drive home. Instead, I parked near the local coffee shop, held Ethan's tiny hand tight, and we walked quietly toward our street. I stayed hidden behind an old oak tree. My palms were sweating. And then, Margaret pulled up. James's mother. Dressed like always, crisp, composed. She glanced around, pulled out a spare key, the one I gave her for emergencies, and walked right in.
No hesitasten. Nos cham.
Minutes later, smoke. I called 911 with shaking fingers. The firemen came. The neighbors poured out. Flames rose from what used to be my living room. But Ethan and I were alive. Because of him. Because he listened. At the police station, I told them everything. About James's debts. The strange smell. The secret calls. The sudden new life insurance policy. Margaret was arrested. She refused to speak without a lawyer. James was picked up at work. He screamed it was all a mistake. But when I saw him face to face, he looked hollow. I didn't mean to hurt you. I thought you'd be at the store. I was going to call Mom to make sure. Why, James? I asked. His shoulders dropped. I owe $200,000. I messed up. The collectors were threatening us. The insurance payout would have saved us. It was never about us. It was about him and the hole he dug. He got 8 years. Margaret got 5. I divorced him, reclaimed my name, paid off the debt with what was left of the insurance money, and moved to a tiny riverside town. Just me and Ethan. It's not fancy. 1 bedroom. A tiny kitchen. But it's safe. And it's ours. I work again. Freelance. Translating languages while my son plays with his new classmates. No more whispers. No more locked phones. Just peace. One day, Ethan looked up at me and asked, Mom, what would have happened if I hadn't heard Dad's call? I knelt down beside him. Something terrible, sweetheart. But you did. And that saved our lives. He nodded, then said something I'll never forget. I was scared, but I had to protect you. My little boy. My hero. The bravest soul I know. You see, I once believed that love meant sacrifice. That being a good wife meant standing by your man no matter what. But now, I know better. Love doesn't mean blindness. And family doesn't mean loyalty to those who would burn you down. So if you've ever felt that gut feeling something's wrong, listen to it. Because sometimes your instincts are the only thing standing between you and disaster. If this story hit home, tell me in the comments. And if you believe real heroes can come in tiny pajamas holding dinosaur books, share this video. Because sometimes the smallest voice is the one that saves everything.